Hello and welcome to Your Voice Dorset podcast. I'm your host today, I'm Jex, and I'm very excited to be joined by a business owner in Dorset. This is Emma Burke, the founder of Laceeze and Defiance brand, is that right?
That's correct.
Emma, will you tell us a little bit about you and your business?
Yeah, hi, yeah, so thank you for having me. So my business is Laceeze and Defiance. So we started as Laceeze. Started in 2017 and it was a solution to a problem that we noticed on the kids' football pitches. So I've got two boys, I was a sideline mum. So myself and a co-founder at the time could just see that the kids' laces were constantly coming undone. And then a little boy came to a training session and his dad had put an elastic band around his boots. We were like, why have you done that? It's like, stops the laces from coming undone. So lo and behold, everybody's watching that boy during the session and it did do the job. And really that just kind of got the brainwaves going. Could we create a product that does the job, but two that children want to wear, would be excited to put onto their precious football boots? And that was Laceeze. That's where Laceeze came from. And then Defiance was any of the products that we created after Laceeze. So we started to look at other sports accessories that children need for sport. So obviously I had quite a good idea of what kids needed, but also some of the flaws with some products that were out there. So we just started to innovate what was already on the marketplace and just bring out other products that sit under the Defiance brand. So now we're kind of known as Laceeze Defiance.
Right, okay, yeah, sort of a dual thing.
Yeah.
So then with the Defiance sort of side, obviously the Laceeze, that's a very practical use.
Yeah.
On top of football boots, rugby boots as
well, rugby boots,
yeah.
Anything sort of moulded, studded boots, because it sits nicely in the sort of space between the cleats.
Yeah. And then the Defiance brand, how has that been adapted from other sportswear then?
So initially, the first product that we bought out were outfield gloves. So it was our bank manager at the time. He's like, if you're going to bring out anything else, bring out gloves. He was a football coach as well. And he's like, they're really, really hard to get hold of for younger kids that are warm enough, but that also have grips. So obviously for football and for rugby, you need to have sort of a silicone grip for throw-ins and things. And obviously we then had some experience with silicone with the Laceeze bands. So literally gloves came first and they still are in the winter now. They're our best-selling product. Last year we sold out twice during the year. So they are really, really good. And I think the difference is the big brands, they have their adult range, that's their core range, and then they make just a smaller version for kids, whereas we are child first and only child actually. That people go, oh, can you do bigger gloves for adults? I'm like, no, we are a kids sports accessories brand through and through. So I make sure that whatever we do, we're doing it with the sort of the interest of the children in mind. So I'll give you one example. Kids really hate labels in the back of their clothes, and certainly during like sport, you're chopping the labels out. So like, well, just don't put them in. So we put these
absolutely, for sure.
Yeah, we put these really soft like seam tapes in the back so that there's no rubbing against the backs of their necks. There's no labels. It's just a printed sort of size logo and washing instructions. So it's just little things like that I kind of noticed from my sports parent journey.
Make a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so when you were first starting out, I assume you're on the sidelines. This whole idea came from the football sidelines.
Yes.
So did it start out as sort of like word of mouth, people seeing, oh, they're wearing this on their boots and their laces aren't coming untied? And then how did that go from that to now you having a website? And
yeah, so we did create the website initially, but also we did this on a real shoestring budget. So no pun intended there. But when we started, it was like we didn't really have we didn't have a marketing budget. It was like, okay, here's the product. Let's try and get this thing out there. But we did talk to a lot of parents, and there was quite a lot of excitement. And what we did is we created an ambassador program. So we were able to give out like a free sample to somebody via social media, and then they would promote it, talk about it. And that got traction really, really quickly. And it meant that our bands, so as well as just being kind of like all the Dorset parents were talking about it and knew about it, was able to get ourselves known a bit more nationally. And the only cost to that was really giving out the free product. But then that child was talking about it And our biggest sales day still to date is a Saturday afternoon and a Sunday afternoon. And that's when the bands are seen. So I always say like bands on feet are our biggest marketing tool.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I suppose like football tournaments as well, that must be quite a big thing if you've got all of the bands there for all of the parents to see.
Yeah, and
the
we
coaches.
did. I think Greenfields, which is a local football team, they have a big tournament in the summer. We went there. We went to quite a few of them. And we get asked even now, can you come to our tournament? It's like, we just can't be everywhere all at once.
Yeah.
But it's that captive audience that you've got at those particular events.
Yeah. So from sort of like a manufacturing point of view, you've obviously taken this idea of an elastic band.
Yeah.
How did you develop that into something that literally traps the laces in? Were there like several prototypes, or did you have a clear idea from the off?
Well, we had a good idea and we had the first product. And if anybody ever wants to look back on some of our Instagram, because we share what we call our Mark 1 Laceeze band, because it was great. We tested it. We had some like crude sort of samples of it, popped that on our kids' feet. They went out and were like, bingo, this works. Let's order. And this was probably one of the first mistakes we made. We went crazy. Let's order loads of colours. Let's order loads of stock. Got the bands in. They were working. We started sort of distributing them locally. And then there was a Sunday where it was just a shocking English Sunday, rain, mud. And then the bands were on, it was on somebody's, I think it was a friend's son's boots, and we looked down and he was wearing the bands and the laces were undone. And we were
oh no.
In essence, it was too shiny. The silicone was too shiny. It was too small, and it was fine in most circumstances, but not the ultimate Sunday mud and water. And they just sort of slipped and spun round. It was a horrible moment because we had all this product and we literally had to go back to the drawing board. But we went back, created a product that was just, the band surface area was bigger. We also then put some ridges on the underside. So it did mean we had to go back and completely retool, and so almost start all over again. But that change actually meant we were able to get a patent on the product, which initially the first one was like, no, it's just a silicone band. There's no sort of IP protection with that. So there was a kind of a silver lining, but we had all this product. So a couple of these tournaments we were doing locally, if somebody bought a pair of the new bands, Mark II Laceeze bands, we were giving out one of the other pairs, just saying, oh, just pop it on your water bottle. So we had all these colours, like to identify.
Oh, that's a really good idea.
Because their kids just chuck their water bottles on the sidelines.
Yeah.
So we gave out loads for free, and then our bands sort of start about sort of child size 13. And if we had like a few people going, oh, my kids have got a size 10 feet, like child 10, they're tiny.
Yeah.
So have you got a smaller band? We were like, well, we have actually. So then we went back again and we were able to sell some of those as a mini band. But yeah, that was the story of that band. Thankfully, the market's so small for any child under size 13 anyway. They tend to be in Velcros at that size and age. So yeah, I think there's a lesson there. Just like, don't run before you can walk. You don't need to, it's great to have like all these colours and things, but you don't need to do that initially either. Just like start slowly and move up from there.
Yeah, but that's like what you've done there. You've obviously adapted something that was quite bad initially, and then you've turned it into, put it over your water bottle, and people will still be like, oh, that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
So I suppose from a business sense, you've probably had to adapt quite a lot from 2016, 2017, did you say?
2017 we launched,
Yeah. You must have had quite a few challenges during that time. Obviously there was COVID during then. How did you sort of manage that, and what challenges have you faced?
Yeah, COVID was probably our biggest challenge because we were starting to like get really, really good sales. So we were then increasing our order volume to get our cost price down. And I think that we had just placed one of our biggest orders with our manufacturer. So, and I think quite possibly they were on the water in a container on the way to us when COVID hit. So when COVID hit, nobody was out playing football. So it was like someone had turned the tap off. The website was just nothing. We wanted just to keep the website trickling over. So we had an account with a wholesaler, a sports product wholesaler. and we managed to get some product from them, and we created what we called like train at home kits. So it was things like little mini balls, some cones, hurdles. We were able to get hold of some like little pop-up goals. And I just remember like during COVID, like trying to get hold of any type of sports equipment, it was like gold dust.
Yeah.
People were like...
Everyone wants to go out and
yeah,
'cause they've got their space to do some exercise.
Yeah.
And it's like you need to have
I remember like
stuff
weights.
for it. Yeah.
People couldn't get hold of like dumbbells and things. They were like going for like top money on eBay. But actually having these packs, so we bought these packs in, and then I got my sons to create like some little like videos and drills of things you can do with the train at home packs. So that was great. That just kept, one, it gave our audience something to watch and look at, and it did just keep the website ticking over during that time. And see, it was quite a long time before the green light was given. I think we opened up, but they still couldn't play sport. I know sort of like professional sport started, and that was behind closed doors. So it did feel like a really, really long time. But the great thing was when it did start, the desire and the appetite for people getting back out on the pitch was huge. Like it felt to me like it was like really exaggerated. So at that stage, then we just ran with it.
You were flying, yeah, absolutely. So you've had some hurdles, but you've overcome them. You've clearly got quite a business mindset. Did you always want to run a business? What did you do before Laceeze?
When I left school, I trained to be a vet nurse. So that
really?
that was my first career. I was a vet nurse. I worked out in Swanage and Wareham, so small and large animal practice. And I thought that was kind of like my forever future. That was it. And then I met somebody who's now my husband, and he was self-employed, and he was like, oh, this is just not working. Like because you have to work very long hours, sort of vet nursing, and weekends and things. And he's like, oh, you should just get your own business. And so I set up a cleaning company. So that was my first.
That's three very different career paths.
And it really was like, I didn't set out to be an entrepreneur. I kind of fell into it because I wanted to have a bit more time freedom. So if I'd known about e-commerce when I set up the cleaning company, which probably wasn't really a thing then, I probably might have deviated towards some sort of animal-based business, but that's kind of didn't happen, and that's sort of the history. But yeah, and then Laceeze just came kind of one of those things that you see and do, and it happens. So I don't think I've ever really planned any business. I've just sort of fallen into them. Yeah.
Is this, so you say we, obviously for Laceeze, the company, is it just you? Are you the sole founder of Laceeze?
No, so I had co-founder at the time, but I am the sole person now. So my co-founder exited in November 22. So I've been sort of running it solo since then. I say we, my husband is, ever suffering husband is there to help pick up the pieces from time to time.
Yeah. And how did you sort of manage that then when your co-founder said, that they weren't, they were stepping back from the business? How did you think, did that make you more eager to do it by yourself? Or?
Yeah, I won't lie. That was quite a difficult stage in the business. So we've sort of talked about, the initial teething problems, and then COVID. And then I suppose that was the next big hurdle, because it was sort of one of those decisions, like either we just close the business down, but I could see the potential. So after it all the dust settled, I was kind of like, right, I am going to put my absolute everything into this and see. And I'd worked really hard on it before, but you sort of get that bit of fire in your belly again, almost like that startup energy, I would say. And just see where we can take it.
So obviously there's something that we have to talk about.
Yeah.
There's been a big sort of event in the business. If a lot of people will have watched the show Dragon's Den, and you appeared in January.
Yeah.
That must have been huge for you.
Yeah. So after my co-founder left, we'd applied right at the start. Everybody kept saying,
you applied with your co-founder initially?
Back in probably 2017, 2018.
Right,
Everybody said to us, that should go on Dragon's Den, that product. So
yeah, of course,
we did.
Yeah.
And we had an interview, or she had an interview, and they said that we were too early in our sort of business journey. And we didn't think anything more of it and left it. But I saw it came up on my sort of like feed apply now? And I sort of looked at the criteria and it said, has anything significant changed in the business? I was like, oh yeah, fair bit actually. So I applied. That was probably like December 22, but again, thought nothing of it. And it was March last year. So March 24, just about to sit down for dinner, one last sweep of the emails. And there was something from the BBC producers like, would you like to have a chat with us about Dragon's Den? And I was like, wow. And my sons were both like there and they were like, that's cool. My husband's like, you're not doing that, are you? Like,
really?
It was like opposite, like reactions to it. So I was like, well, let's just see. Let's just go along with the process and see what happens because it might not go anywhere.
Yeah.
But
that must have been, So that's quite a big gap as well then from when you initially applied. You probably forgot.
Yeah. Actually, It's not something you think about every day. And it literally was just like, BBC like emails like, wow, okay, so they must just keep all these people on file just in case.
And then so you have an interview, you speak to the producers.
So it's a researcher that you speak to initially, talk about the business, just talk about sort of your forecast, where you've been, what's happening, and then after that they actually said quite quickly, I think it was towards the end of that call, we'd like to put you forward for an audition. But everything was very fast, like quite short notice and quite fast, the whole process for me. So they were like, but we need to do the pitch and the audition and some of this paperwork like in 5 days. I was like, I was going to the States. I was taking my son to go and look at university in the States.
Really? Oh my God.
And I was like, I can't do it. I completely, better word, but bottled it a little bit. And they were like, no, if you change your mind, call us afterwards, come back. And it was whilst I was in the States watching some cable TV in the hotel room and a random TV channel, and Shark Tank came on.
Oh, the American version. Yeah.
And then a product came on and it was a product made from silicone and it was a really niche product. And my son looked at me.
That's a sign.
And my son looked at me and said, come on, Mum, just phone them back. So I came back from my travels, called them, said, look, if there's still time. So I think I then had like 3 days to do it, like to do an audition. So it was a pitch, a bit more kind of a bit more rudimental than the pitch that actually you see on the show that day. And then they came back again a few weeks later and said, yeah, we want to put you forward for filming, but you have to pass due diligence.
Right.
So due diligence is probably a good month of my life was spent. Every claim you make, everything you've done, you have to provide the BBC with evidence of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So an example, so obviously like all the facts and the figures, that type of thing, that's obviously all documented anyway. We say on our website, Laceeze bands suitable for use with moulded and studded boots. Prove it. I was like,
how can you prove that?
Exactly that. Like you just do. We just do. But you literally every claim they make, the BBC have to make sure they've obviously checked everything off. So that took ages. Presented them with all of that information, and then I didn't hear anything. And then I knew they were filming. I could see it on like the Dragon's social medias and things. So I was like, oh, okay, it hasn't happened. And then one Wednesday evening in June, I got a phone call from the senior producer, say, would like to put you forward for filming. I was like, amazing, in Manchester. Okay. He said, next Tuesday. So that was literally the time.
So you'd had like a whole year since you applied almost.
Yeah.
And then like a month of doing all of that.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden for them to just hit you with
it. And obviously, and then at that point, you've got to
pitch.
You've got to pitch, and that's got to be approved word for word by them as well. So you've got to pitch, and you've got to learn that. Prepare to go to Manchester. Prepare your set. Prepare what you're going to wear. All these important things.
Very important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you go to Manchester.
Yep.
You get there. You're going up in the lift.
Yeah. Doesn't go up.
How do you feel? It doesn't go up.
It doesn't go up. Doesn't go up.
It doesn't go anywhere.
It doesn't go anywhere.
You're joking.
No.
Exclusive, guys. I can't believe it.
Yeah. So you film your lift scene actually in advance before you go in and pitch because of where the cameras are. So obviously they film that little bit. So yeah, the lift doors are open. You stand in the lift. There's a camera in the lift as well. Those doors close. Next door's open. Out you go.
I can't believe I didn't think about that either, like where they're going to put the camera and
Yeah,
stuff.
because all the cameras are down the side.
Yeah,
so then, so you film that bit, but then obviously then you do it when you're actually in the lift for real. You're not being filmed for that bit because you've already walked out. And then you walk out.
So what was that feeling then when you'd actually got there and they started filming?
The actual film, it was the moment before I think is probably the worst bit. It's quite terrifying because you're waiting for, there's a green light that changes, and I could hear their voices. So you could hear them come out. So they're all just like chatting and like, oh my God, the dragons, like you can hear them. And that I was literally just ready to go. And I had a football goal. If there's anybody that's seen my setup, we had our product and a football goal just kind of for a prop really. And we had Joe Wicks was the guest dragon. They decided to have a kickabout. So I'm
you
ready to go.
You can actually see this in the episode, by the way.
I am ready to go. And they're having a kickabout. And there's like the welfare officer for the BBC is like sort of in the wings to my left. And she looked at me. I don't know if my legs were like going to jelly because she just went and got a chair and said, you may as well sit down for a moment. Because she had a screen so she could see what was going on behind. I swear that was the longest kickabout ever. Yeah. It felt like an hour to me. Once I got in, you have to find your little spot and don't move from your spot to stand. All I cared about was getting my 2-minute pitch correct, not sort of stumbling over my words, not missing anything. When I'd done that, I was almost like, oh, relief. I'm done. Little
all
did
the
I
questions.
know. Yeah. I wasn't done at that stage. That was only just the beginning, but I did feel quite relieved at that stage. That was like, for me, it's like, phew. And then the question started for just under 2 hours.
No.
Yeah, it's
2 hours.
Yeah, it's quite relentless.
Yeah, because you only see what, like,
I think we were 15 minutes
like
from start to finish of our whole thing on TV. Yeah, but so it was almost 2 hours and there's no break. It's just literally one after the other.
Yeah.
And I think what happens is one dragon sort of brings something up and then that then raises a whole load more questions with the other ones. So it's quite intense, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I've obviously seen the episode, but if you want to just remind our listeners of who your dragons were.
Yeah.
And then maybe what kinds of questions they did ask you.
Yeah, so we had 6, it's normally 5, but the last few seasons they've had sort of guest dragons on some of the episodes. So the guest dragon was Joe Wicks, then the Peter Jones, Sarah Davies, Deborah Meaden, Stephen Bartlett, and Touker Suleyman.
Yeah.
And they literally ask you everything, like the IP of the company, the figures, the forecasts, and then they go quite deep about you as a person as well. I think they want to really understand who the entrepreneur is that they're talking to, the history of the company. There isn't a lot that they don't ask about. Some just think, I didn't expect them to go down that road. But I do think there is an element, obviously they want to understand about the company and about the proposition.
Yeah, I suppose they're investing in the company, but they're investing in the person as well, because there's so much of it that comes from you. They need to know sort of what you're like. Was there one dragon that you were particularly scared of at all? I think they are quite scary.
They are quite scary. And collectively they're quite scary. Deborah's obviously the one that
was my one. That was my one I was going to say.
I'm sure she's lovely, but as soon as she starts on like facts and figures and IP and things, if you haven't got that right, you're torn apart.
You're sweating.
Yeah. And obviously I won't spoil it if anybody hasn't seen it, but there was a moment when it was going quite well and then she asked something and I was just like, I just don't know. And I thought, well, I could blag it. I think they'd probably sniff me out if I'd done that. So I was like, I don't know. I just feel like that was the best thing to say.
Yeah.
From there, there was a little bit of I don't know if it was all a little bit for the TV at that stage because Stephen Bartlett started like probing me with different questions, one after the other, like just trying to be a little bit awkward. And even Peter Jones like, just leave it. Like she didn't know that. She's not going to know that. So I was like, oh, maybe you've got your TV moment now, perhaps.
Yeah. I mean, it is entertaining as well, isn't it?
Exactly.
You have to think about that. And I mean, yeah, obviously I've watched the episode. It is a little bit brutal at one point, and you're thinking, poor Emma, oh my God.
Yeah, sweating at that stage.
Yeah. But yeah, obviously they do have to go through that. So I suppose you can't really take it personally.
No.
Yeah. But just to put that into words, sort of, how did you feel when they started, you know, coming at you with lots and lots of different questions?
I think you just have to, so prior to going on, you have a psychologist, independent psychologist report. And one of the things that he said to me was, just remember, when you've said it, it's not going back. If it's been filmed, it might get aired. So he said, just take a second after every question and just think, where are they trying to lead me with this question? And then answer. So rather than so sometimes when you're nervous, you can quickly just like blurt things out. So I was trying to become a little bit calculated each time, like, where are we going with this? And, you know, they argued amongst themselves. I mean, that was quite entertaining when there was a moment they were bickering, and I was like, oh, it's like children. Like, don't laugh. Whatever you do, Emma, do not laugh.
Yeah.
But it's hard. But the thing is, you all think, well, they're just, in my mind, I was like, there's an entertainment TV show here, and then there's a business element of it. They're quite different things, aren't they? So I've seen enough episodes to know kind of what's happening. So you just have to sort of suck it up and take it
on the chin.
Yeah.
But they did also have some real positive comments. I mean, I am going to have to spoil the episode slightly because it goes into, you know, the sort of future of the business.
Yeah.
Joe Wicks, he was very complimentary, wasn't he? And he must have been a very good person to have on there with, you know, that sort of sports personality, I suppose. Yeah. So it comes down to the decision.
Yeah.
And you're having a few people, and they go quite quickly. It's they say their reason, and then it's I'm out, and then it's
a little bit slower than that in real life. You get and actually what they do is give you quite a lot of advice.
Oh, that's nice.
That's not all shown. And for me, when I walked away from that, I was like, they were so complimentary about the product. You know, I had Peter Jones. I mean, he's massive, isn't he? He's got enormous feet, and he's just sat there with a pair of bands around his lovely, like, shiny black work shoes, which is sort of quite surreal. But so I did feel like every single one of them said something complimentary about the product. So that was like tick in the box for me. But the way that it's shown on TV is, they go quite quickly. So I had 6, 5 had gone. Then it went to Touker, and I was like, okay, just bring it on now, because in a minute I can go. Like, I was exhausted
2
at
hours,
that stage. Yeah. And I was like, I'm just ready to get out of here now. And he had a different take on it. He is very much manufacturing led, price led. So he came in with a completely different sort of focus, that he could get the overheads down, profit up, volumes up, and made me an offer.
Yeah. And so you were actually saying earlier that obviously they bicker a little bit.
Yeah.
When he does make his offer, the other dragons were slightly outraged by it.
Yes.
Because it wasn't exactly what you were going for, was it?
No.
So how did that feel?
Yeah. So I'd actually, when they were having their argument, then I'd already gone to the back of the room, because he made me an offer, and my throat was, my mouth was dry. So I was like, can I get some water, please? And they'd put the water out the wall at the back. They went, just go. And that's when they started. And I don't even know if it shows, but I think one said, oh yeah, there's some water at the back. And then Stephen Butler went, yeah, there's a sick bucket there as well for you. And I was like, oh my goodness me.
Wow.
Like, yeah, that was, and then Touker went back at him. I said, well, put your money where your mouth is then. You're not making an offer. So I just think. What you have to also understand is that if you make a deal under the pressure like that, it's not legally binding. So I just thought, no, let's just come back with a counter offer. Look, that is too much to take. And then you can obviously have a think about things outside of those cameras and lights and that intensity of being in the den. So I went back with a counter offer, which he accepted. So then there's me thinking, what if he could have gone a bit lower, actually? Whether he was really potentially trying his luck. But in my mind, there was an amount that I would be prepared to, you know, give for the right person. if they'd gone higher than that, it would have been a like, thanks, but no thanks anyway. So it wasn't like, I'm going to have a dragon at any cost.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there's been so many businesses that have gone on there as well and have declined an offer and still done really well out of it.
Yeah.
So, you know, you don't really know what's going to come.
No.
So from the episode, from Dragon's Den, since you've been filming, which was actually quite a long time before the episode was released, where has Laceeze and Defiance gone from there?
So we filmed in July 24. It was aired in January 25. The business was actually growing. We had a phenomenal sort of last 4 or 5 months of last year. That was long before anybody even knew about Dragon's Den. The sales were great, and they've continued. We brought out some new products in the Defiance range. So Defiance Fresh, so it's for keeping football boots smelling nicer, kit bags. And that's been really, really successful line actually. So much so that we're already bringing out some more products to sit under the Defiance Fresh brand name. We've got into sportswear ed, and we're in with a lot more independent retailers. So I think what's happened since being on the show, it's given the brand quite a lot more credibility. There are people wanting to collaborate and sort of partner with us, where we share like very different sort of brands, but we share very similar audience or brand values. And that's been, I suppose for me, that's been like the most exciting and the most fascinating part of it. Like you always have a big sort of bump in sales when you're on national TV, like people see the product, but it's what comes after. Yeah. And that there's some exciting collaborations will be coming up this year.
Oh, that's very exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, I suppose as well with Dragon's Den, it's just as much about or even more, it's about the coverage than it is the investment. So that must have been huge for you. So what about then in the long-term future? Have you got any other sort of things? Where do you see Laceeze and Defiance in 10 years' time?
In 10 years, I'd like to think that it will pretty much be like a household name. So people young kids will just know that Laceeze is part of their uniform for sport, that they would have their shin pads and their boots and Laceeze bands. We will continue to grow the product line with products that we think are useful for kids playing sport, things that parents are going to appreciate us for bringing out. And obviously just continue some sort of global expansion there. And then as the company grows, so we donate back to grassroots. So that is at the heart of what we do. So all clubs need fundraising all the time. So through the direct sale of every pair of bands, we put some money aside. Every year that goes to clubs, teams or individuals. So for me, as the brand grows, the awareness of that side of the business will grow, sort of the charitable impact that we have. And hopefully we can continue to grow that. And that could potentially be like a sidearm, almost like its own sort of charity that can run where we can fundraise into that as well as donating to it. So that's the ultimate goal.
That's really nice as well. I bet the dragons like that.
Yes. Yeah, that didn't actually, because that was in my pitch as well. Yeah. That didn't get shown on the TV. And that was the only thing I'd be a bit disappointed about, because that really is the heart of what we do.
I would assume they would have asked you with 2 hours worth of questioning.
Questioning, And, I think all businesses have to have some sort of like purpose, more so than just we're here to make money.
Absolutely.
You have to make money, otherwise you haven't got a business, but there has to be something else. And I've seen my boys go up through the years of grassroots sport, and I've seen how like beneficial it has been to them, just as generally, as grown adults now, or 17 and 19, the confidence that they have, just they can walk into a room because they've had that from sport. So I feel that, like, really passionately feel like every child should have that opportunity if they want it.
Yeah, that's a lovely message. So just sort of starting to round up, there'll be quite a few people maybe around Dorset that are aware of your story now. Maybe young people that are looking to start a business or have an idea. What sort of advice would you give them?
I think don't run before you can walk. Yeah. But just reach out to people. People reach out to me all the time, and I'm very happy to give my time to give people some advice. And there's loads of us out there. We've all done it. We've all got this sort of like battle wounds from the mistakes that we have potentially made. So if you can help somebody not make those mistakes. So my sort of like number one advice is just just find a mentor, find somebody that you can lean into that can just give you that advice. You know, there's loads of information on the internet, but just don't go solo. Just have somebody as a bit of a sounding board. I have mentors now. I have a business mentor. I have a mindset coach as well. Just they are the people that can just help me see things differently. And I think whatever level you're at, you just need to have a person or coach or somebody to lean into.
Fabulous. And the last question that we ask all of our guests, obviously your business has started from watching your boys on the sideline playing football or rugby or whatever in Dorset. So what does Dorset mean to you?
This is home for me. Like I always say to people, we do a lot of Zoom meetings and everyone says, where are you? And I say, because we're sort of just outside of Ringwood, and they're like, where? And I was like, we've got the beach on one side, we've got the New Forest on the other. I mean, and also we're having the most blissful sunny weather at the moment. I just don't think there's anywhere better to be than here.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Thank you so much for coming on Your Voice Dorset podcast, Emma.
Welcome.
If you just want to tell everyone where they can find Laceeze and Defiance.
Yeah, so Laceeze, we're on Instagram, Facebook, and if anybody wants to reach out to me personally, I'm on LinkedIn and quite active on there. So like I say, I'm always happy to help people and answer any questions.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.